Fucking
Every one of these movies, man.
The damn montages. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why
Right.
can't I like do a pull up? What the fuck is wrong with me?
It's, you know, what gets me, and people like in the listening to this to be like, you can't do push-ups, man. The amount of push-ups that like fighters and things, that it's unbelievable.
Like the one that always fucks with me, like they make it look so easy, but I've tried and it's like just way harder than you'd ever possibly imagine. Jump roping.
Oh,
like
I did it.
They'll sit there and just jump rope for hours, like it's nothing. And I get like 10 minutes for you, and then I'm
that's I think the longest I've ever done is like 15 minutes on a jump rope, and I was dripping sweat. But the thing that, I mean, the other thing is too, they don't ever trip on it or anything like that. Yeah. You know how often I'll just like stumble doing a jump rope? It's the most uncoordinated. They couldn't make this movie with me because they'd be like, are you serious? Can you walk?
There's like a boxer's step or whatever, like while you're jump roping, and like I tried to teach it to myself and I just couldn't fucking do it. Like I was like, what? How?
Welcome to the One Take Podcast, episode 139. This week we were reviewing Creed 3, Creed the Third. With arms wide open.
CR3ED.
Yeah, they should have. Why didn't they do that?
Who can
didn't throw 1-3 into the middle? Anyway, I'm joined by, as always, by Dex Hinton. We will hopefully be joined by Tej here soon. If not, I'll just go ahead and give you his review. He loved the movie. That was awesome. But I think we'll be joined by him here soon. Yeah, so we're talking Creed 3. Let's read the synopsis. Came out just this past week. Adonis has been thriving in both his career and family life, but when a childhood friend and former boxing prodigy resurfaces, the face-off is more than just a fight. Directed by Michael B. Jordan. His directorial debut. 7.4.
What a debut it is.
What a debut. 7.4 on IMDb, 74 Metascore. It is an hour and 56 minutes long. It's rated PG-13. Right now it's like trending only as like the 34th most popularity ranking right now on the website. So that's interesting. That more people aren't looking at this movie because it's a secret hit. Or not even a secret. This was the release this week, but
yeah,
you know, directed by Michael B. Jordan, written by Keenan Coogler, who is the brother, I believe, of Ryan Coogler. Also, Zach Balan, with a screenwriting credit on here as well. He was nominated for an Oscar for King Richard, but he also has written several other things. But actually, he hasn't. This was his second. He wrote King Richard, and he worked on like the art department of several other things, which is very interesting. So congratulations to him getting on up there. Ryan Coogler also wrote the story for this as well and helped produce. So he's involved with these movies still. Stars Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors having himself a hell of a month.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Tessa Thompson is back. Wood Harris is back. Felicia Rashad. And Mila Davis Kent as their daughter, Amara Creed.
So good.
So congratulations to her for landing this role. This has done numbers at the box office for a sports movie. Saw a tweet today that it is the first sports movie ever to gross $100 million worldwide in its opening weekend. Mm-hmm. Across the US and Canada, $58 million box office gross. So very, very good numbers for this film. Has good critics reviews as well for Michael B. Jordan's first directorial effort. 87% Rotten Tomatoes score, 96% audience score. Stepping out from Rocky Balboa's iconic shadow at last, the Creed franchise reasserts its champion status thanks to star Michael B. Jordan's punchy direction and a nuanced heel turn by Jonathan Majors. Dex, You love this movie. I think I love this movie. We can wax poetic about it for a while, but go ahead.
First of all, I gotta say, punch your direction, boo.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Oh, brother. But yeah, man, I love this movie. Incredible debut for Michael B. Jordan. I didn't think he had it in him, honestly. Like some of the stuff that he does in this
Yeah.
movie, like you just wouldn't think that a rookie like director would make some of those choices. Like this movie, first of all, their daughter Amara is deaf, which is like a big part of the movie. She's like one of the bigger like emotional pieces of this movie. And like Michael B. Jordan doesn't like force like the characters to talk to her while they're signing to her or anything like that. They're literally just signing to her. It's silent. It's like very little music going on. Literally just like the actors silently signing to their daughter, communicating perfectly and like letting the audience live in that like quiet moment with them, read the subtitles and see the actors' emotions and things like that. You would think most of the time that like someone who has never directed before wouldn't want to do that. Like they would want to kind of they like tend to kind of want to keep the audience listening to something and like have sound going on. But Michael B. Jordan was like, nope, that's fine. We can let this movie be quiet. Let the actors do their thing with their faces and like with ASL. You can read these subtitles, you can handle it. Like, and I thought like that's just such a dope choice out of him, and it works really well. Their story's really emotional. You really enjoy Michael B. Jordan's relationship with his daughter in this movie. Like I said, it's one of the big like emotional pieces of the film. And then kind of just throughout the entire story, even when it's not involving the daughter and like her deafness or whatever, there's still like a lot of moments in this movie where it's just really quiet and Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors are just kind of looking at each other. And you can kind of tell what they want to say, but that they're also like these big masculine men who can't express their feelings. And that's like another big part of the story. And that just works too, you know. In a lesser movie, that kind of stuff is narrated, or that stuff is cut a beat shorter, or something like that. But Michael B. Jordan is like a good enough director to trust the audience and be like, okay, y'all can handle this little bit of tension and silence for maybe a second or two longer than other movies might let it be silent. But then they get in the boxing ring and this shit is like loud again, and Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan are beating the fuck out of each other, and it's amazing. It's like some of the most compelling boxing I've ever seen in a movie.
Right.
And, like the soundtrack is jamming. Like there's a Big Sean song in here that I was like, this is good, which is rare. Like
Jesus.
there's like Nipsey Hussle songs and like real like LA music and shit that like makes it feel like you're in LA with like some real LA dudes who grew up there and are like from the street life and stuff like that, and it works. That Dr. Dre on the intro of this movie, like they play The Watcher, and I was sitting in the movie theater like fucking like getting into that shit, like nodding my head and everything. Like I was like at home listening to music. It's just so fucking good. The training montage is great. Like there's just everything about this movie I like. I don't only knock I might give it is that like some of the script could have been a little better. Like none of their lines are like super memorable or like all that cool. They just
Right.
like a little more mechanical. That's like point A to point B in terms of like the dialogue, but it's not a big nitpick at all. I give it an A. I love this movie. This shit rules.
Um the Michael B. Jordan of it all is really crazy because normally to get a big franchise film like this, which who's the big studio behind this? Is Warner Brothers?
It's an Amazon movie.
MGM owns it, who
is owned by Amazon.
Who is owned by Amazon. So they used to be bleeding money, now they're fine. But to get handed a big franchise film like this, which historically they haven't always had to make them for a ton of money, they let Stallone direct some of these Rocky films. After a while, he kind of just turned it into his own thing. But to let somebody that hadn't directed anything, not like not a TV show, not a music video, not a independent film, that he and another person stare at each other through a Zoom call, like he hadn't directed that. It's like, all right, I'm going to get, I don't know how much they spent on that, $50 million. And me and Jonathan Majors are going to beat the shit out of each other in Dodger Stadium. What? And he doesn't fumble at all. I think maybe one of the things that he probably, and it's a Creed movie, so it's going to focus on Adonis Creed. But I think one of the things that maybe he was having to deliver a lot of the exposition, and I'll carry a lot of the story, and he's on camera a lot. And look, yeah, it's a Creed movie, but like, I think that you maybe even could have cut down your part a little bit more in sacrifice of having some of the other characters do some things. But again, it's a Creed movie. It's a Rocky movie. Like, I'm not knocking that many points for it, but I will say that at some points it threatened to get a little bit out of his hands, but he reeled it back in.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything. I do want people to go and see this movie. So hopefully once Tej gets on, maybe we'll spoil some stuff a little bit down the line, about like the final fight and stuff. But the directions and the chances that he takes, especially in the fights, was unbelievable.
That final fight was so fucking good.
Truly unbelievable. And it did things that no other Rocky movie, or in fact a Creed movie, which Creed 1 is essentially a cut and paste of Rocky, but like,
yeah, Creed 1 is Rocky 6 or 7
yeah,
or
you know what it like it's Rocky with a fresh coat of paint, and
Rocky passes the torch.
Yeah, and I think that but this really felt like its own sort of thing, and it tried things that Rocky films have just never artistically have never even tried to do. And like, look, Rocky 1 is one of the greatest success stories and, sports movies and movies of all time. But it really, after a while, became very formulaic in what it was. And this is formulaic at times in its storytelling, but the artistic choices that Michael B. Jordan makes, and again, especially in the fight choreography and the storytelling within the fighting, is unbelievable, man. Really is. I would take some points off. This story really does take from movies that came before it, but how many different directions can you go? This feels a lot like the movie Warrior, which, Dex, I don't know if you've seen, but is an incredible UFC movie. Actually, probably one of the best, if not the best UFC movie ever made. Takes a lot from that, wayward brother-like character comes back, wants a title shot, mad at the world.
Yeah, that's a very like done before story in terms of like, again, I'm not like a big anime guy. When I say I'm not a big anime guy, I mean I'm not an anime guy at all. But that's done in like a lot of animes. So like that kind of stuff has been definite. Like, this is well trodden ground, but it's well trodden for a reason. Like, it works. So
yeah, I mean it's worked in 10,000 episodes of anime. However, but like, there's so much anime, man. Just side note, we're talking about anime because Michael B. Jordan, if you haven't seen the interviews, it's been all over the place. He was heavily inspired by anime, just like many of us. And I know he got mad at somebody on the red carpet for calling him corny in high school, but he's just a big nerd. It just turns out that good looking man that's built like an Adonis is actually just a nerd like the rest of us. So
Yeah.
that's fun. That's fun
He's
to know.
a nerd who had the discipline to work out.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we all had that, then we could have been Michael B. Jordan, but we don't. So
We none of us look like Michael B. Jordan, man. Let's be real. So he was heavily inspired by anime with the fight choreography, and that's not spoiling a lot. Once you watch it, you'll understand why. And he's talked about that in interviews. And I think when he showed Jonathan Majors a fight scene from Naruto, to prepare for the final fight scene, which is just, it's an incredible like bit, like, sure, like this is what we're going to do, which is something just hasn't been done in fight movies. And it's a really big swing by a first time director to do, like, say, here's what I want to do with my movie. And yeah, for the most part, it worked. But that being said, you could fill an ocean with what I don't know about anime. Yep. There is so much anime. It's unbelievable. Sorry guys, I'm not watching My Hero Academia. I'm not doing it.
Nope.
I
One Punch Man, Chainsaw Man. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
There's so much. There's so much. I tried to watch Attack on Titan. It's like 50-minute episodes. Like I just can't.
All the different Narutos, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Vinland Saga. Like, y'all sound like y'all
One Piece. You know how many episodes of One Piece there are?
Too fucking many.
It's like 1,000 episodes of One Piece.
So yeah, I'm very glad that y'all are having a great time,
and I'm glad can
that
appreciate
Michael B. Jordan
this.
Did he watched it all and he got some great ideas, and then he brought them into one live action movie that I can sit down and watch in a movie theater. So that's what I did.
I do want to talk about this with Tej further, because I think he more so, and maybe you do too. I've never understood the Michael B. Jordan is like actually bad as an actor thing. And maybe I wasn't watching that closely. But I always thought he's been like giving good performances in what he's done mostly. I thought, like, especially, but my stuff is Black Panther and Creed. Like, again, I haven't watched all of The Wire. But I will say that Tessa Thompson and Jonathan Majors are kind of acting circles around him in this movie. To me, personally. And that's not his fault. He has to carry, like I said, there's no Rocky in this movie to like sit there and deliver the exposition. You know what I mean?
Also,
he's not there.
Jonathan Majors is a better actor than you. Okay. Like,
okay. Yeah. But there were some line readings where he's trying to convey all this like emotion and stuff. And like you said, Dick, it was just, okay. That would, one more. Can we do one more? You know what I mean? I think it helps. Definitely helps having Ryan Coogler in your corner if you're going to direct a big franchise movie for the first time. So obviously, probably, I mean, I don't know this, but I'm sure that like he bounced ideas off of him, and obviously he's a producer and helped write this movie. So it helps to have Ryan Coogler in your corner. Overall, I think this is anywhere from it's the second best Creed movie. I think it washes 2 completely out of the water, if I'm being completely honest. And maybe that's just the glow of the movie theater coming off of me. But I just like how this looked on top of, more so than the second one, and flowed, and I was exhilarated by my heart was pounding, man.
It was so dope, man. You saw this today?
No, yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think this is anywhere from, it's anywhere from the 3rd or 4th best Rocky Creed movie, I would believe.
I am underqualified to answer that. I've only seen Rocky 1 and all the Creeds.
I've watched all the Rocky movies except for 5, because that apparent one is apparently ass. But
there's so many.
Yeah. I think it's anywhere from the third or fourth best Rocky, depending on how you actually feel about Rocky 4. Those of you listening will probably understand that reference. Rocky 4 is like one of the best, worst movies. They like go to Russia and end communism or in the Cold War because of a fight for Victor Drago. I think some of the storytelling is a little flat at times. Some of the dialogue isn't that great, but overall, Jonathan Majors just staring it into the abyss, like staring a hole into your soul, is compelling cinema to me every single time.
Yeah,
and then
man.
he's like, he is just fucking Mike Tyson. He like looks like Tyson.
Has the cadence at different times. Like,
Yeah, it's insane. So I thought he and Tessa Thompson were very good. We'll talk more about the Jonathan Majors of it all here in a second. But to me, I give it a B+ right now. Actually, you know what? A-. I'm going A-.
Mhm.
A- with this one. That's probably subject to come down as the year moves on. But I left being blown away by how I felt after it. And I kind of thought Rocky movie without Rocky, you know what I mean? By the way, that's the other thing. Sylvester Stallone's nowhere to be found in this movie.
Yeah,
Come
not
on.
even really mentioned all that much.
No. Maybe once.
I think he was mentioned like once, like maybe like Rocky's not here or something like that. Like it was literally just like, okay, this is about the black people now. Like, all the whites over there, Caucasians to the back. Joanne the scammer meme says.
When's the last time a non-British white person has been good at boxing anyway? Can we just like,
hey, look, you said it. I ain't say it.
The thing that I left feeling from this movie, though, too, after we watched, all the hype from a John Jones fight end in like 2 minutes last night.
Oh man, that was so fun.
Oh brother. Boxing hadn't been this exciting in like 30 years.
Yep. I missed the feeling.
This is way more exciting than actual boxing is. And yes, I get it's a movie, but we got to restore the feeling in boxing, man.
Yeah, bro. They had my boy Stephen A. Smith pop up like with the exclusive Adonis Creed interview.
And I've been like, And
then Jonathan Majors calls into the first take. I'm like, yo, boxing got to get back here, dog. Like,
that's the thing too. And I don't know much about boxing, but I actually know more about the UFC.
Yeah,
just because it's one league.
The UFC is so much easier to follow. I can't follow like the WBO, HBO, Showtime. I like
DAZN. Like, wait, I got to download an app to watch that. What is this shit?
Super middleweight bantam heavy champion. Like, nah, fam. Like, one champion. That's all I need.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So he had to win 3 other belts. Like, go what?
Yeah, look, you weigh 205 pounds, you're gonna fight John Jones, you're going to lose, and John Jones is the champion. Like, that's all I need. Like,
right.
UFC, keep it real simple. Thank you. Like,
yeah. So let's see. We are adding Tej now. We'll get his review of it. Actually, that's perfect timing, man. We'll see if we can get him in here. But no, anything else that you want to say before we get to Tej's review here in a second? Dax?
Shout out to the daughter. I don't remember her real name, but Amara Creed in this movie. She was just amazing.
She's very good.
Yeah. You don't see a whole lot of deaf actors get this much screen time in a movie this big that's not like about deaf people.
Yeah.
So like that was just a really cool like bit of representation, and like she killed it. And we often talk about how child actors can be very bad on this podcast, but she was very good. So shout out to her.
Mila Davis or Mila. I haven't researched Mila Davis Kent.
Shout out to Mila Davis Kent.
Yeah, she was great.
And we are joined by TJ Finley. TJ, you text and you said we are watching the episode now. I thought you said after, and so I just started the podcast.
Oh,
my bad.
It's all right. It's all right.
TJ Finley joining us for the podcast as always.
Yeah, I gave an A. Royden gave an A-. So
nice.
With your review.
What's your review?
I also give it an A-. I had a great time with Creed. My expectations were high, and I think they met them. That kind of opening, you kind of open in a flashback to teenage Michael B. Jordan and the Jonathan Majors character, and the feel of it, I could just tell, like, okay, Michael B. Jordan has thought about some things as a director, and he's making some good decisions. And I felt like throughout the movie, there were good decisions coming from behind the camera, which I really appreciated. That opening 5 minutes felt like a very cool episode of Snowfall. The soundtrack was lit, the way they used the Watcher and built up to it, and then they dropped it. I thought that was so dope. I thought that was incredibly dope way to start a movie.
I called up that same song, dude. I was in the theater, like, fucking head nodding, like, going
that
crazy.
Shit is fire. The way they did that was just a great setup. I know Michael B. Jordan gets bagged on for his acting, and I totally understand why people do it, but I just think that he's such a credible character. I think he's such a credible boxer. The way his body moves and the way that he looks, I think he just makes sense as a boxer. And I like how they have Jonathan Majors had a completely different fighting style and kind of mixing that up. I was a little scared about obviously there were reports that because Michael B. Jordan is obsessed with anime, that the fights were going to be a bit inspired by anime. I thought it would take something from the Rocky/Creed series. We're used to how they fight in the fighting style, but I thought it was a step forward. I thought it really worked. Mm-hmm. No spoilers yet, but Michael B. Jordan makes a pretty major decision in the final set piece. He makes a big decision, and I thought it paid off. I thought it was cool. You've obviously never seen anything like that in the Rocky movie before or a Creed movie before. I thought it worked great. They gave Tessa Thompson way more to do, which is pretty much my only issue with the first couple movies, is that Tessa Thompson is incredible and she's on set and she's got nothing to do in these movies. She has a lot more to do in these movies as Michael B. Jordan's character is trying to traverse these things going on in his life and in his spirit and his mental health. That has the great upside of having Tessa Thompson have a lot of stuff to do in the movie, which just really works. Tessa Thompson is very talented and very amazing. I enjoyed this film a lot. Maybe I wouldn't have it. Maybe the highs of it don't reach kind of the highs that they were able to capture on the first one with Coogler on set. But I know Coogler was involved. It looks like Coogler and his brother were involved in the writing. So you could clearly see that there's still some creative input from Coogler himself into the franchise. I thought they did great. I thought it was a bit weird that they're having him retire, because I felt like now that you've reached this level with this franchise, why would you be trying to stop it? But it seems like Michael B. Jordan doesn't really have an interest in being the center of this franchise, or at least not from in front of the camera's perspective. It seems like
you say that, but then like Sylvester Stallone unretired and retired 18 times in the Rocky movies. So
he can literally like just retire and unretire. I was very scared of a first-time director directing one of these movies. Especially someone who happens to be acting in it. It's just not easy to do both those jobs. Mm-hmm. And I thought they did a great job with the movie. I was really impressed by it. I had a lot of fun with it. I gave it an A-.
I got to find the second unit director now that you mention it, because they never get enough credit for when the star also directs the movie.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find that. But no, so I did say Tej, and I don't know where you came in or what, but I think having Ryan Coogler in your camp is like, there's worse things to have as a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah, that's literally a cheat code. That's playing with the game on a different mode. You could just see it, man. You could just see that, that obviously Michael B. Jordan has been inspired by Coogler, and you can see Coogler was a part of how they put the movie together. And there were some decisions that were made that were just very smart. I like the use of the flashback stuff. I also think that they did a really nuanced way. I'm pretty sure, and let me know if y'all read it this way, but I'm pretty sure what was happening with the character who he beats up in front of the gas station, I'm pretty sure that character was like abusing him sexually. That's how I read that, but they kind of talked over it, and they kind of like the way he explained it to his wife was nobody should get, he shouldn't have been beaten on us the way he was beating on us. But I think there were some more sexual nature of that abuse, or at least that's what it felt like to me, and how complicated they were making these feelings that the character was experiencing. That's how I read it the whole time. I could be wrong because they don't come out and say that, but I thought they did just a really good job with how they presented it and handled it, and they didn't go over the top with it, and they didn't like try to hammer it home and have Michael B. Jordan do a 5-minute soliloquy about being sexually abused potentially, which
Oscar-winning speech.
Yeah, it could have gone so wrong, and I don't know. No disrespect to Michael B. Jordan, I don't know if he's the right actor to do that kind of emotional heft.
I know that he is
the way
not,
they did.
actually.
So I thought they did a good job of having him like. Obviously, he's repressing these feelings, and he doesn't really want to talk about it, which rings true not just as a man or as an as an athlete, but like as a person. And so I thought they did a really good job of handling that in a way that set the lead of their movie up for success, as opposed to putting too much on him that he couldn't handle. I just thought it was a really smart decision.
The second unit director in this is a guy by the name of Clayton J. Barber, and he did the stunts for stunt coordinator for a lot of movies, including Black Panther and the original Creed.
Wow, this is all these people are just hanging out with the Michael B. Jordan and Coogler and Majors. All these people are they're kind of setting up a collective. There was something that came out this week that said, obviously Majors and Michael B. Jordan are really good friends, and they're going to be like, have their own version of De Niro and Pacino in terms of appearing alongside each other as opposites. And I'm all for it. I thought that they had really great chemistry on screen with each other. Like I just think that the Jonathan Majors is such a talented actor that he really carries those scenes where you got to get into the shit that they've been through, and where he sits, at the scene where they're at that diner, the way Jonathan Majors plays it is it's just perfect, bro. It's just a perfectly acted scene by Jonathan Majors. Perfect.
There is something about it, and I was talking to, I believe my uncle. I was talking to about it, and he said, "Oh, I just find that he's good. I got to see more acting range out of him." And I had to disagree. I think he has the potential to be great. He does have I think he said he had the potential to be great. He just needed to see more range, and I just like something about that guy. I had to disagree because I'm sitting there like every single time he is on screen, whatever quiet intensity stare thing, I'm just like drawn to the screen. It's like it's like the whole video game meme where you lean in. And I just every time he's on screen, I'm like,
it's getting real. I'm like, stop talking. Shit is real now.
I'm like, who is that guy? Like what is I just and it's that quiet intensity, and he's not this guy yet, or maybe never will be, but we don't know. It's the first time in a long time that I've seen an actor, a millennial actor, have the same sort of quiet intensity and then switch up that De Niro had early on.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to groan and roll their eyes like I just invoked the name of like the greatest actor of all time for this guy. But I'm serious, man. Watch it. When he's like, when they're just eating across from each other, and Michael B. Jordan is, like you said, he's trying his best. He's delivering dialogue. He's having, I said earlier, it's no fault of his own, but he has to deliver a lot of exposition in this movie.
A ton of exposition. A ton.
So he's,
which is kind of rare for like a third movie in a trilogy, honestly. Like
extremely rare. You don't usually get that much backstory in the third part of a story, but know there's a lot of exposition he's got to do because we're using so much of what happened to him in the past, and the viewer we don't know what happened yet. So a lot of expositional weight on this plate. I
think unlike the other, like the latter Rocky movies, where they eventually it was all about the spectacle and the fight, and Sylvester Stallone is 0% body fat, and sort of that became the story. And they use the fights to convey emotion. I think they really wanted to try and tell more of a story in this one than let's get to, I'm going to fight Mr. T. You know what I mean? And, but going back to my original point, there's something with Jonathan Majors where he's just staring and he just kind of he just grins, or he like grunts or acknowledges. And it just, there's something about it. I don't know what it is, man. Just when you have it, you have it. And I think a lot of people are starting to take notice of that. So yeah.
Very, very much so. Also, Michael B. Jordan, pulled a hanger jet. That is a thing that happened, and it was fucking
Yes.
awesome.
Hell yeah, brother.
It
Yeah.
was fucking awesome. I was like, oh shit, he's pulling that jet. Obviously, well, it's been well stated on this podcast. I have a huge affinity for the montage. So whenever we get into that montage mode, they dropped the J. Cole song, and I was like, oh, that's dope. J. Cole sounds great rapping over the Watcher beat. That I'm into that. Then later they dropped the Big Sean song. I had to take off points for that because I don't know what they
Dex said he liked it.
called
Yeah.
him.
I
Don't
was
call Big
so
Sean for your big movie soundtrack. Please just don't do that. Just never.
I
do
was
that.
so into the movie that it worked for me, despite it. Like, look, Big Sean is like I don't even know. I can't even think of like a good like sports parallel because like he's just had so many opportunities time and time again. He's just blown them all.
He's
Like,
like
he's
Damian Lillard.
he's Paul George. He's
He's
Paul George. He is Paul
He is
fucking
Paul
George.
George.
Because you would look at him and you would be like, you have all the tools. You should be an amazing You are an amazing basketball player. You should be one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. You're just fucking not. Like,
It's just not in the cards.
like, I don't know why. I can't explain. Like, you're just not that guy. Like, you have all the tools. It should all be there. I've seen you a million times on the biggest stages. You just don't have it. But somehow this Big Sean song worked for me. Like, Michael B. Jordan pulled that off for me.
I will say this, and I know that they were trying to distance themselves, I guess, as much from Rocky as they possibly could. And I will say, I don't think they would have had Rocky in this movie if he wasn't in some weird contract dispute with the producers over the rights of actual Rocky.
Yep.
So I don't think it was any fault of the filmmakers, meaning the people the creatives behind this, that they didn't have Rocky in here, that they didn't have Stallone. But go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You could kind of feel Rocky's absence at certain points in the movie where you knew this is where Rocky would normally show up and tell him, do this as opposed to doing that, and you felt that absence. But I thought
to that end, it didn't overshadow because he wasn't there. It didn't overshadow it at all.
Agreed.
I will take points off for, and this is not even my take. I'm just completely stealing this take from Amanda Dobbins on The Big Picture. They didn't play the fucking Rocky music. What are we doing?
I was a bit frustrated by that.
Come on.
There's
Just
hints of
one
it.
dun, 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 nothing.
There's hints of it in the J. Cole song. There's like parts of the song are in there, but no, you got to play the Rocky song, bro. Like I know you're trying to distance yourself, but just a couple beats of the song is all we really need, bro. That's all we needed.
When he was pulling that you couldn't have done
just a couple beats of it. That's all we needed, man. I will take off punch that. I thought about that the whole time in the final fight sequence. I was like, we haven't heard one part of that Rocky song when they're out here in an outer realm when they were just. We could have had a couple beats of Eye of the Tiger in there. It would have worked.
When they at the end of the montage, obviously it's a Rocky movie. He runs up something and like lifts his arms or whatever. They show you that he's like on top of the Hollywood sign, and I was like, well, there goes that. Like, fuck that. Like, I can't run up the Creed Mountain. Like, get out of here, bro. I went to Philly. I ran up the Rocky Steps. I did the thing. I took the picture, but I can't run up the
Creed Mountain.
The Creed Mountain and pose in front of the Hollywood sign. Like, get the fuck out.
You'll get arrested.
Yeah. This is illegal now.
No, so they didn't play the Rocky music. Obviously, I think at the very end there is like parts of the original score that are still left in there. But yeah, the beats that aren't in there. So give me the Rocky music, man. What are we doing?
Can we go spoilers now? Can we go loud?
Let's go loud. Let's going in hot. Weapon set to kill.
If you have not seen this film, go see it. And if you have not seen this film, pause it right here and then jump back into it after you've seen it.
Right.
Okay.
So, what did you want to spoil? I imagine it has to do with the final fight scene.
That shit fucking ruled, dude. Like
ruled. Dudes rock. That rocked.
They get through like the first 1 or 2 rounds of the fight. I don't remember. And then they like send them to the ancestral plane. They're just beating the fuck out of each other, like in an anime fight. Just them in the middle of Dodger Stadium, just fucking each other up. like no crowd, no nothing, just them in Dodger Stadium. Fucking shit's like flying out of nowhere. They're beating each other into like cages that are popping up and shit. I think Michael B. Jordan gets beat like into a jail cell at one point or something. Like that shit was dope, man. Like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a fighting movie. Like,
To lead into that, I knew that I knew he had what it took when they're looking across the ring from each other and it like burns the watermark of their younger selves onto them.
Mhm.
I was like, ooh, I liked like I'd never seen that. It threw me. It made me emotional a little bit. I was like, this has a lot more heart to it than I originally thought it was going to.
yeah.
So yeah, and then of course they do the thing in anime, you know, when somebody gets punched in anime and it's like, like it's just like
yeah, they
he
did
gets
a lot of that.
punch and it's like his eyes are coming out. Michael B. Jordan's eyes are coming out of his head, and it's like slow mo. It was unbelievable.
It was so
They-
fucking cool.
They made so many decisions with the fighting. I've seen a ton of boxing movies. I have never seen some of the stuff they did, even in the fight where the Jonathan Majors character gets the championship fight, the first championship fight. When he's punching, and he's like punching and like hitting him in places where it's like hurting his arm, but he's like punching him on the side of the arm, and you're seeing the arm muscle and like you could see that he's causing damage. I had never really seen that before. You don't punch people in the arms, like you don't punch people in the shoulder on purpose, but like he was doing that, and obviously we are told, oh, okay, he's cheap. Like, what he's doing is a bit cheap, but like it's effective. It's actually working. It really worked, and that was my biggest fear coming to the movie is like you can't jeopardize what people really come to the movies for to see these Rocky/Creed movies. They want to see the fights, and I thought that they did enough. They didn't, make it totally anime where we're not watching a superhero movie or something like that. You can tell they just play with it on the edges, and I thought it was a step forward. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, he makes a big decision in the final set piece, like we said. It totally worked for me. And I think what's so smart about what they did with the movie is obviously you're watching a movie about a fighter, it's going to end in a big fight. It's like the fight is the ultimate conflict resolution. Rocky fights Drago, and that's the end of the movie. You don't see Rocky go into the locker room and have a conversation with Drago about their past beef or pushing past the thing. But the movie that they made, you knew as soon as the fight was over, Michael B. Jordan's going to the locker room to have a conversation with him. You just know it because it's like, we're not going to have the fight be the thing that is a part of the conversation. Obviously, it's a part of the conversation of them finding the common ground, but you knew they had to have a conversation. You knew they had to sit down and have a conversation, and you don't usually get that at the end of a fight movie, and you knew it was coming because they did the movie in a way that the emotional heft of this story means as much to us as the fighting. I just think that's really smart, and I think it makes it different than most fighting movies that you've ever seen because that conversation had to happen, and the movie really benefited from the fact that conversation happened.
Yeah, and I love that like the conversation, it did have to happen and it happened, but it still felt like a real conversation that like these two men would have with each other. Like Michael B. Jordan didn't show up and then like hit Jonathan Majors with like a bunch of shit he just learned in therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he showed up.
Yeah, these two just beat the shit out of each other for 12 rounds. Yeah,
he wasn't like I've learned more healthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah,
I want to make sure you have the bandwidth to have this conversation right now. Like none of that shit. He was just like, hey, like it is what it is. Basically, like, I got you, you got me. Like we went through some fucked up shit. Like, like these two masculine, like very masculine, like very sheltered men who like don't want to, like one of them's been in prison for 18 years. Like he doesn't want to be out here talking about his feelings and shit. Jonathan Majors is sitting there like he has no idea what to say because like he's never had a conversation like this before, like that just felt so like
not
real.
Talking a lot about his feelings in prison.
Yeah, like Jonathan Majors isn't sitting there in prison like I want to unpack all of our trauma. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was in there fighting for his fucking life, and that's why he was able to come back as like the one fucking champion boxer because he was in there fighting for his fucking life. So yeah, them being like still pretty toxic, like toxically masculine men, like having this conversation, like knowing that they needed to have it. I was like, just so fucking good, man. That's such a good choice.
I will say the funniest thing to me about these movies, and it happens, I'm not taking points off for this, but it happens in every Rocky movie where it's like, this man gets a title shot. Why? Because I said so. It's like he was just in prison. And they do a good job of making, he was a former Golden Gloves winner and all that stuff. Like that would be plausible, I guess.
Boxing
but
is the one place where you could put that shit in a movie and the shit is credible. Boxing, they will let anything fucking happen in boxing. If people will watch it, they will put anybody in that ring. They'll put your grandma in the ring right now if enough people want to download the app.
Fucking Jake Paul is the biggest boxer on the planet. That stinks.
Yeah, but Jake Paul isn't fighting fucking Anthony Joshua. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair.
If this is a basketball movie and all of a sudden someone who just got out of prison was like, I want to be the MVP NBA champion. Give me on the court right now. Give me a try with the Clippers right fucking now. Like,
give me one game for the NBA championship. Me and Steph Curry going one-on-one.
Has to be game 7 of a playoff series. The jailbird gets in there. He's supposed to play like 2 minutes. All of a sudden, he scores like 50 points. It wins the game.
People will be like, boo, ew.
Like, this story stinks.
Also, like, love the how we just kind of skipped over the whole like Itanya of it all. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot. That's the whole plot.
Yeah, this fucking Nancy Kerrigan shit going like,
Jeez.
I'm gonna fuck up the contender.
Drago, who they brought back, by the way, they brought a lot of people back.
I love that scene with him and Drago when they were sparring. That was so dope, bro. That was I really liked that.
But to your point, TJ, that these fights end, yeah, and that's how they have evolved, and I think we have sort of evolved as moviegoers, is that we want to see more depth, I think, to these characters, and that can only sometimes be done through dialogue. Because at the end of the Rocky movies, I love Rocky 4, but it is, I just solved communism and now I get to make a speech to a bunch of Russian. If I could change and you could change, and he gets to make this triumphant speech. You know what I mean? Or he goes out on top and like, hey, dude, I did it, and that's it. Now it's like, now we got to go live with these consequences that I just beat up my former best friend. You know what I mean? One thing I will say, a logic leap in this too. Are we supposed to believe that like this fight takes place a couple of years later? Because by that time, this wouldn't be Dame's second fight, right? Like, I mean, if his first fight was for the championship, then I guess not. But like, he comes out with all 3 belts. So it seems to me like there was a bunch of.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, there was a bunch of time that passed.
Got it.
But they didn't do a good job of conveying like how much time had passed before. I will say Michael B. Jordan isn't that old, and they kept saying you're old as shit.
They literally kept on making a point to keep. And I was like, is he though? Because
he's like 33.
Yeah, he's not that old. It was weird that was such a big part of the storyline. It was like, all right, but I'm thinking about the future of the series. If there is a future of the series, are they setting up the fact that the daughter is going to be the new Creed? Are they? I
kind of hope so.
Are they tossing to Jonathan Majors for a movie, and then we can toss to the daughter? Because the Jonathan Majors is still in the universe, and obviously
he's kind of unlikable. I mean, he's likable because he's Jonathan Majors, but he's a big piece of shit in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, he literally went full Tanya Harding. Like, he literally hired a goon, came in there and broke somebody's fucking arm, and they literally focused on the guy who did it. I was like, why did they show him like that closely? Like, it's not somebody we know. And it was like, oh, he paid that guy. He fucking paid. That's why.
But look, okay, so work with me here. Amara won. All right, Michael B. Jordan, Adonis Creed, dead, out of here,
dead.
This is for
he can be in the corner.
Why don't we have him play the Rocky role and be in her corner?
Because fucking Dame is gonna be in her corner.
Oh,
hell yeah, brother.
You see?
Oh, I like that.
Dame is gonna be in her corner. All right. Adonis is gonna die. We're skipping way ahead. We're skipping like 20 years ahead. All right. Adonis is gonna die.
A lot of CTE in this, I guess, because he dies at 50. Like, what happens?
Yeah, who cares? Death happens.
As it does for all of us.
Her mom doesn't want her to fight still to this day. So fucking Wood Harris doesn't want her to fight either because he knows that her mom doesn't want her to fight. So she's like, give me Dame. Dame, teach me how to beat the fuck out of some people. And then we go from there.
If she adopts Dame's fighting style, but mixes in the Creed kind of swift athleticism and with the sleek boxing with the Dame just charging bull style, you got a hit on our hands. I think I'm into this. I'm into this.
The Tyson, he is literally Tyson in this movie. And
Yes.
like, I have never seen a guy like Michael B. Jordan's in fantastic shape. Don't get me wrong. It's unbelievable the way that Jonathan Majors looks in this movie.
It's crazy.
It's
The insane
truly
part is-
unbelievable.
We haven't even gotten like the peak physical Jonathan Majors movie yet because
Magazine Dreams is
Dreams
gonna
is
be
coming.
the peak physique movie.
Holy
That's
shit.
crazy.
I cannot believe the way that he looks in this movie, and just he's literally one punching people. You know, and obviously he's not, but like that first fight lasts like 3 rounds. He beat the shit out of that man.
Bro, that sparring session, he had the heavyweight champion in hell. I said, oh, no, this is not going so well for the champ over here.
I don't know,
Literally,
man.
is this your
If I
king?
see somebody like that looks like Jonathan Majors hop in the ring, I'm like, no, someone else, please.
Yeah, can we get a different sparring partner, please?
Yeah. There is
You
no
know
one
the-
else. Well, then I quit.
The real star of this movie, unfortunately, I hate to say this is not one of my agendas, but the Stephen A. Smith scene stole the
Hell
movie.
yeah.
He was so funny, bro. When Michael B. Jordan is like doing this little lead in, you know, he's like polished and trained. He's been on TV before.
He's
So
had
doing
media
the
training.
lead-in. Yeah, he's done media. So he's doing the lead in, you know, setting up the story before he drops the big thing that like, I'm actually challenging Dame. In the middle of this, Stephen A. Smith is like, you got to be talking about Dame. I know you're talking about that. And I was laughing so hard because it was so Stephen A. Smith. It was so perfect, bro.
You
I
came
really
here to
enjoyed
Stephen A. Smith on national television.
He said, let me tell you what they've been saying about you on the street. They've been saying you're old.
They killing you in the quote tweets. I don't know if you saw.
That scene was fucking incredible, man. Perfect.
They're fucking you up in the quotes. Oh, God damn it.
Please put and I hate this. 'cause
Stephen
I hate
A. Smith doing
Put him
the
in
best.
everything. Put him in everything.
Doing he's so good he could do the version of himself. Just be yourself. You know what I mean? Like that's no different than what we see. That's how I know that he is it kayfabe? Like it's all an act for Stephen because he just can constantly doing the character.
He
was
just knows
incredible
what makes
work,
good
man.
television, man. Like he
Stephen A.
just
Smith
knows.
Oscar campaign starts now. That was incredible
Best
work.
supporting
that he
actor
did, bro.
so far.
Incredible
in
work.
2020.
We got to start tweeting that. Let's try and make that campaign.
Yes, we're
Let's
starting
tweet
that
at-
campaign.
Tweet at Stephen A. Smith, best supporting actor.
We can at least get him a Golden Globe nomination. I'm dead.
At least, bro. We
He
can make
has.
that-
He
we have
now
the
has
power.
his SAG card, right? Like
minimum, we can get him a Golden Globe nomination. I know we can pull this off.
but yeah, the training montages obviously are awesome. They do, you know, they said he was old, and I was just thinking he's not that old. But at certain points, I think they did a really good job. I guess it was like a mustache and a beard can change a lot of things.
Yeah, they
but
made
he
him- they made
did
him
look
look
haggard at
They
one
made him
point.
look haggard. And also, they changed the way he's dressing. Like in the beginning, you know, when he's not in shape, he's like wearing more loose-fitting clothes. But obviously, he starts to put on the very tight Michael B. Jordan suits as he starts to get into shape. That
I
stuff
hated
is
that they
so
lied to me.
intentional.
I hated they lied to me like that. Trying Michael B. Jordan has gotten soft and return. Get the fuck out of my face.
I hated that they had this man in the suit hoodie combo, bro. I hate that shit. Don't do
That's
that.
a nasty combo. I really,
Don't-
we have to
don't
stop
do
doing
that.
that, please.
Suit hoodie. I've never done that.
Keep that away from me and my family, please.
Yes. Look, hey, it didn't work for Michael B. Jordan. It's not gonna work for any of y'all. Don't do it.
Facts.
Post pandemic. We're all cozy boys now. I don't know if anybody knows.
You can
You don't
just
have
wear
to
the
wear-
hoodie straight up.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the suit.
That's the best thing
Especially if
about the
you're rich.
pandemic. Dex, you've said this about professional sports, but just in real life, like, yeah, you go into the office, like, but most people now are just like doing what we're doing, and like this is just what everyone wears now.
Yeah.
Like people don't does anybody own jeans?
Look,
I do,
love,
but I'm
I
only
love a
pulling
good
them
pair
out
of
for
jeans.
special occasions because I'm cozy boys. I'm wearing yoga pants everywhere I go, bro. Everywhere.
But
No,
yeah,
it's-
the hoodie suit combo. Get that shit out of here. Don't let that be a thing.
Shout out to all the actors for doing the ASL.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I want more ASL and everything. It showed up that we had a deaf characters in The Last of Us, which is pretty dope. And I just think that we need more deaf characters because it's such a smart decision, just based on the movie, because Michael B. Jordan gets to communicate with the daughter, which is stuff that's very cute and very well. It comes off very well on screen, but having him do sign language just makes it even cuter to be like, this I'm communicating. When Dante comes to the house and he's got to talk to the daughter and they're translating for him, basically, it's just like, it just works very well. It's like, it's incredible. But you bring somebody to your house and have them around your family, you don't want to know that they're going full Tanya Harding, like in their personal life, in their business profession. You don't want that, bro.
I will say Majors does this thing where, like I said, he's the quiet intensity, and like the reason I said De Niro, because like all of a sudden, like De Niro would snap, you know what I mean? Like it just like would shift, and at the drop of a hat, and he does that in this to where all of a sudden after he wins the fight, you know, and he's pulled off the heist of a century, it is like he just goes into this charismatic guy now. It's insane the way that he switches up that character, you know what I mean?
That man is the heavyweight champion. He's like, listen, I don't need you anymore,
right,
baby Creed. I'm literally the heavyweight champion. What can you say?
Also, like, shout out to just all the groupies in the world, like just pulling
immediately
to this beach party
instantly.
Immediately.
And also he now has a penthouse, like after one fight he has like a penthouse in LA.
Like how do you even do like the splits for the fight at that point? Like how much do you get? Like you just showed up. Like, you know,
no, he got his fight purse. He didn't get any of the pay-per-view. You kidding me? We're not giving this felon half the pay-per-view.
Like, yeah, like what? Damn, man, like that. Just all these people. Never seen this man. This man ain't got no car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
he had to get his ankle monitor taken off at the fight.
And literally at the fight.
So y'all just like, he won the championship, I'm gonna go hang out with him. He must be dope. Like, I heard this man say one word. Everybody at the beach.
Also, the guy willing to take a fall that just must have gotten out of prison too.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna be the champ. I'm gonna break you off when I
don't worry, brother. I know this might sound crazy, but I'm going to be the champ. So, and dude's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, don't do it. I'm beach ass. So
you can't whoop my ass. So you know that would be incredible to actually mean that.
Yeah.
T, do you want to fix boxing really quickly? Because we're at a terrible problem, and Dex and I talked about this before you came on. This movie is so much more entertaining than any boxing match has been in the last like 25 years.
Boxing is, don't even get me started on all the problems with boxing. But yes,
boxing movies are inherently way more compelling than the actual
boxing
sport
movies
is.
Are so cool because, again, you have the ultimate conflict resolution. Two people are going to get in there and fight and settle the differences. It's compelling. It's like Shakespearean in the way that it's presented. So obviously people love boxing movies. Whereas real boxing is not so Shakespearean at all. It's actually very corrupt and nasty. And the fights that people want are just die. Just they don't get those fights because everybody's got so much power. The fighters, the top level fighters have so much power, and the promotions have so much power that they can basically make things happen or not happen. And it sucks because the fans get to dictate what fights that they want to see, and that's how it should be. But instead, it doesn't work like that most of the time. And that's the biggest problem with boxing. And second of all, when you can see someone get head kicked into the abyss, it's just hard to be like, I'm actually going to just watch boxing where they can only use their hands, because you could literally just turn the channel and watch someone's head get kicked off into the audience. Who doesn't want to see that?
I watched fucking a big French dude get choked out last night. That's dope, man. Like,
I said this on Twitter, and our good friend Brad Brown, I said, for better or for worse, a boxing match isn't ending in 2 minutes. For better or for worse.
Yeah.
You're going to get your pay-per-view money out of that.
True.
But he said, surely there's no someone that can be named that, had a video game named after him that this would this would be the difference. And I said, man, brother, Tyson hadn't been in that ring in 20 years.
Yep.
There has not been a Mike Tyson that has come in,
No.
you know. And it's also, it's, and I don't watch a ton of boxing. So boxers that are actually listening to this are probably getting mad at me. But what I do watch is, for the longest time, Floyd Mayweather was the biggest boxer on the planet. It was so boring to me, a casual fan, watching a Floyd Mayweather fight. Because like you said, I could just switch to watch UFC, somebody get roundhouse into the abyss. And this is Floyd Mayweather. I'm gonna technical you to death for 12 rounds or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, really,
And
the whole thing with Floyd Mayweather was more like the story of, can this be the guy who finally beats Floyd Mayweather's ass? Because we want, like, you want to see Floyd Mayweather get his ass kicked. Like, you know, at least most people like are like, this guy fucking sucks. I'm tired of his shit. I want to see him get his ass kicked. Can Canelo Alvarez be the one to finally beat Floyd Mayweather's ass? No.
Spoiler alert. No.
Can Manny Pacquiao finally beat Floyd Mayweather's ass?
God
also,
damn it.
no.
I have a story about that. Y'all probably watched that fight, but we all chipped in for a pay-per-view. That was the biggest waste of money. And we sat there for hours trying to watch that thing. And I have never been so bored by a sporting event. I was looking at everybody and everybody's like, yeah, getting all hyped up when something would happen. And I'm just looking at it, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I was just like, I hate that. That's like the worst sporting event I think I've watched in forever.
I watched
that was in like 2013.
I watched the John Jones fight last night. I was at a Hooters because I was with my little brother who's 18, couldn't get into like actual bars. So
dudes rock.
Hooters. That shit was so much fun, man. Like, first of all, the Shevchenko fight, nobody saw that shit coming. Like, we weren't even really paying attention when it happened. Like,
I didn't see that shit coming at all. That was insane.
Because holy fuck. And then the John Jones fight, everybody, you know, it's late in the night at that point. Everybody drunk already. Like, so like John Jones choked this man out in 2 minutes and like the place went fucking nuts. I've never heard a restaurant that loud in my life. That shit was so much fun.
Oh man.
UFC is just better. It just is.
It's a better product. Better. And another thing too, we all know where the fighters are. You know what I mean?
And they're not going to be able to. Obviously, they have some level of power, but if Dana really wants the fight to happen, it's going to happen. Like the fight's going to happen. So if the fans really want to fight, they're going to get that fight. And that is
except Francis Ngannou, we're just never going to get Francis. Never going to get Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. It's just not happening.
Don't even get me started. That makes me so sad. I need it.
Why? Because Ngannou just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, Ngannou just like
it's not an organization anymore. He's like, here are my demands. You can meet them, and the demands are basically treat me like a human being. And Dana was like, no. To fight like a human being, never in my life would I do such a thing.
Yeah, he's like, why would I have to do that?
So contract talks stalled because Francis wanted basic human rights and dignity. And God forbid that happened. So
I will say that about the UFC, better product, brother. There's some nasty shit going on.
UFC is extremely nasty. Dana White is a nasty man, bro. Nasty.
Hey, bro, sometimes monopolies have good things in them.
I mean, that's true. There is a benefit. There ain't going to be no super fight that people want to see that's just not going to get made. You just got them going out there fighting other bums just so they can sell some pay-per-views. As soon as the fans identify the two people they want to fight, that fight's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, you know, is Apple a monopoly that'll crush like world economies or whatever? Yeah, but also I can unlock my phone with my face. So
that's kind of innovation I like.
Yeah. Also, we took a picture in a dark bar without a flash last night. That ruled.
I can get a text message on my phone, my iPad, and my laptop. Like, sorry, Chinese factory workers. Like, this is what it is.
Jesus. Oh my God.
We're gonna clip that audio with no context.
Just clip that one up.
Monopolies, some good, some bad. You know,
actually, most bad, but you're willing to live. There's no such thing as ethical capitalism.
Amazon factory workers have shitty lives, but I can order something right now and have it here tomorrow. So, you know,
no such thing as ethical capitalism. Anyway,
give and take.
So yeah, that has been Creed 3. That movie rocks, man. I like yes.
I'm sure you talked about the box office at the beginning, but man,
Yeah.
$100 million opening for a sports movie is insane. Insane.
Yes, sir.
Dudes really rock. Dudes rock.
Dudes rock. There was
And not just
somebody.
dudes, I'm sure there were a lot of women in there that were looking at all the man meat pause on the screen because they were naked a lot and they were boxing a lot.
There was one scene where like Michael B. Jordan just took his shirt off for no reason, and I was like, okay, I respect the move. Like I would do that too.
Yeah,
I would do the same
I would do that
thing.
too. I would do that too.
I went by myself. I wasn't going to take my girl to this. Nah, man.
No, but no, I got this. I got it. I'm good.
But I did sit next to a couple. It was really cool to see. There was a lot of like dads taking their sons and stuff, which that's cool. You know what I mean? But there was a couple that sat next to me, and and they were having a good time watching the movie. But at one point, one of the dudes this is why I keep saying dudes rock. The guy in the couple was just like, when he went down, when Michael B. Jordan went down, he goes, "Get up, Creed!" I wanted to dab him up. I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!
Hell yeah, brother!"
It was awesome. Get up! It was just, he was invested.
I'm finishing my Oscar movies this week, so it's a good time. I got Women Talking tomorrow, and I got All Quiet on Thursday, I think, or Friday. And Scream 6 is coming out. This Real Cinema is really back.
I might have to mainline Scream because it seems like that's just going to dominate everything.
Yes,
we're going to have to review it, I guess, because we
really
didn't review
have
the
to
last
watch.
one.
Just watch the first one and the fifth one. You should watch all of them, but if you don't do it in time for the movie to come out, just watch the first one and the fifth one. You can catch up on the other ones, but that'll give you a good lay of the land and a good lay of where they currently stand, because Scream 5 is obviously a reboot.
Yeah, you can just read what happens in 2, 3, and 4 and be all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Scream 6 then next, probably. We'll take a look at that. It will be interesting. We have like 2 Guy Ritchie movies coming out within the next couple of months. We have
literally before summer, he has 2 movies, which is
that's crazy.
What's the other one? The Jake Gyllenhaal one, and
there was a heist movie with Jason Statham that I think came out this week.
Oh, that's Guy Ritchie. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
He put out 2 movies within a month of each other.
Very weird.
I didn't realize that was Guy Ritchie though. That's okay.
That Jake Gyllenhaal one looks extremely serious, and I don't say that as a compliment.
It looks really self-serious, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gyllenhaal and UFC, did y'all see all that shit where he was like,
I did see all that.
Roadhouse. Okay.
Conor McGregor's going to be in this film, and I can't wait. I'm in. I'm fucking in. I can't wait.
Is it starring McGregor or is it starring Gyllenhaal?
It's starring Gyllenhaal, but Conor McGregor is like he's not just like a random guest in the movie. He has like apparently like
acting
a real
role
part in the movie.
Yeah. I need the Hollywood steroids because Jake Gyllenhaal is 43 and he looks insane.
Yeah, he is jacked, dude. That guy is fucking jacked.
So Scream's coming out. There's also like, it's going to be a really crazy March and April, because then we have Scream. We have
Oscars will be that
Sunday.
second week. Yeah.
Oscars is next week. And then Shazam is coming out. I know like we're big fart noise, but like it's going to also make money.
Yeah.
That first film is good. I
like the first Shazam.
These trailers for the second film look like absolute butt, and I'm not just saying that because they use Eminem in the trailers.
I just can't get over what's his name? Zachary Levi.
Yeah, he stinks.
Tanking the production, not the production, but the
Q rating.
Goodwill. Yeah. No, the goodwill of this movie.
Yeah, that too.
Why is he doing that?
I like just thinking about specifically the trailer. Him sitting there telling Helen Mirren, who is in all the Fast and Furious movies, that he's seen all the Fast and Furious movies. I was like, the Hollywood worlds are colliding too much for me. Like, I need these franchises to stay to themselves. Don't touch. All right.
Fast 10 is about to change my life. I can't fucking wait.
That's coming out too.
Fucking ready.
Yeah, we have a summer of a few weeks in July where we have Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Oh my fucking god! I'm gonna live
Buddy,
at
I
the
can't
cinema.
wait for the Barbie Oppenheimer double feature.
I cannot wait, bro.
That's going to be just a time and a half.
Barbie Oppenheimer double feature. That is going to be incredible. Incredible cinema. I cannot fucking wait.
Going from Margot Robbie to Florence Pugh, like, just this is my time.
Oh, here's what it is. In March, we have Creed 3, Scream 6, Shazam, and then at the end of the month it's John Wick Chapter 4.
John Wick 4, real
I
cinema.
gotta watch the other John Wick movies. I've only seen
We are
number one.
blessed, bros. We are
Yeah,
extremely
I've seen 2 and
blessed.
3 before we do 4.
2023 is going to be a great year in movies, man. It already has been so far. It's been great.
And then coming out in April, we have Air, that movie about marketing Jordans, which
The
Sure.
white people who found
Motorhead.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Perfect song choice in that trailer. That every
Yeah.
time that shit bangs, every time I've seen that trailer, it fucking bangs. I'm sorry, it just does.
Super Mario Bros. Movie, which I'm actually kind of in on, even
Dude,
though
not gonna lie, it looks dope.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 30 minutes. I respect
Oh, for
that.
real?
It
I am
looks
so
dope.
in.
It's perfect, bro.
100% in now.
I do like the Air movie where it's like, let's have white people explain basketball sneakers to the audience. Yeah,
But hey, Matt Damon's in it. I'm gonna watch it.
Hey,
sure.
I'm in.
Directed by Ben Affleck, like I'm a movie that he didn't write. Okay, I'm good.
I'm in.
All right. So that is a One Take Podcast. You can find us at One Take Pod on Twitter, One Take Pod on Instagram. You can send us an email if you want to at one take podcast show@gmail.com. I check that every quarter. And yeah, you can find us at Lord Dex Hinton, at less_humble Teej. You can go to Slander You podcast, find them there, and find Dex's writing on apollohou.com. You can also buy some merch. You can buy a One Take Podcast t-shirt. Use promo code One Take Pod, ONETAKEPOD for 20% off, I believe.
10.
No, 10. Sorry. I misspoke.
Reel it in.
Reel it in. My
Roll
bad.
it back.
Sorry. Take that one back. Apollo, you can take the sniper down. I didn't mean to give away more than ONETAKEPOD for 10% off any merch in that store. ApolloHOU.com. Dex, what are we doing?
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. Oppenheimer's coming out. Dune's coming out. A Good Person is coming out this month. I'll probably go see it just because, I feel obligated. But Zach Braff directed it. I don't want to watch it. Whatever. But Florence Pugh's in it, so
She was killing some Valentino looks. I will say that. You saw the videos.
Kang was catching more bodies as the villain in Creed than he was as the villain in Ant-Man.
Shut up.
When he broke that dude's arm, that's the most damage that he caused in either film to anyone. And I just want to put that out there. So if you're still listening this late in the podcast, there you go. Kang is a liar.